and so forth, according to your frameworks, your Western frameworks, Marxism, what have you. And in so doing, actually uphold the primacy of Western narratives, uphold the primacy of Western epistemology. Sure, I can do that. I know how you talk. I know how to talk your language. I know what allowable critique is, what kind of critique is permitted on the narrative shelf. I know that. Yes, I can be just as dishonest as you are, if dishonesty and falsehood are fine with me. You understand? And if I didn't have any sincere or genuine concern for people, if I didn't care about them actually learning something, learning the truth, actually benefiting and actually developing, if I didn't care about any of that, then yeah, sure, of course. It would be the easiest thing in the world to just keep perpetuating the same false worldviews that have oppressed the whole world for so long, the same false narratives, the same false frameworks, while pretending to be critiquing them. Obviously, I know very well how to use your epistemology. I grew up with it. We all know your epistemology. You forced it on everyone. And that epistemology, like I say, has been an absolute disaster for mankind. And this person, pretending that they agree with everything in my content except for the Islamic elements, you pretend that you agree with me except for the Islamic elements, while at the same time you're urging me to embrace Western epistemologies and Western paradigms and Western frameworks. No, that means that you have not even understood my content, much less agreed with any of it. You haven't understood a single word that I've said. Not to mention, you say broader appeal, right? A broader audience. That's what I should be looking for. But what you mean is Westerners. What you mean is people who live and die inside those paradigms. It's just like when America and the EU call themselves the entire international community, right? If I remove the Islamic element from my content, then I can have an appeal to that broader audience of some 700 million Westerners, instead of to that more narrow audience of 2 billion Muslims and 4.5 billion non-Muslims in the global South. According to you, the broader audience, that 700 million is broad and 6.5 billion is narrow. Look, I know that non-Muslim analysts, I know that non-Muslim and Western analysts and academics and community leaders and even politicians, I know that they listen to Middle Nation content. And I know that they will never admit that they listen to Middle Nation content. And I know that they're never going to invite me to speak. They're never going to have me on a panel or anything like that. But I know absolutely that they're listening, without a question, without doubt. And I also know without doubt that they won't admit that fact because of the Islamic element in my content. I'm aware of this. I know they won't have me on, and they won't invite me at all on any sort of a panel or platform, because I'm controversial, because I have a sketchy past and what have you. No one is going to admit that they're listening, but they are listening. We see them copy Middle Nation content. They learn from Middle Nation content. They may not like it, but they do. They'll start taking Middle Nation positions. We see it. They take Middle Nation positions months later, or even years later, even after they themselves might have dismissed that content or those positions, or even criticized it when those positions were first published on the channel. And anyone who follows our channel knows it and sees it when it happens. Shahid is too radical, right? Shahid is too anti-West. Shahid is too pro-Muslim. He's not objective. Shahid is this, Shahid is that, Shahid is the other, until I'm not. Until I'm not. Let me tell you something. I didn't come to Islam because of some spiritual experience, some epiphany. I didn't have anything like that. And I also wasn't going through any type of transitional difficulties in my life or any kind of a crisis that caused me to embrace Islam in some sort of a desperate search for meaning. That's the thing that happens. No, I came to Islam, alhamdulillah, through an analytical process, through a strictly rational, reasoned process, an intellectual process. And the fact of the matter is, you cannot treat Islam the way you treat any religions. It is qualitatively and quantifiably distinct. Listen to me, your experience with Christianity is not informative at all about Islam. Truth be told, this is exactly the same sentiment that made Christianity completely unrecognizable from the teachings of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, the teachings of Prophet Jesus, the original teachings of Prophet Jesus. Because you have that sentiment of alter the message to give it broader appeal. Make it more relatable to what people already believe and what people already accept. Use their paradigms. That's what you did with the teachings of Jesus. This has been your whole problem for 2,000 years. Because you want acceptance, not change. You want approval, not rehabilitation. You want popularity, not improvement. But like I've said many, many times, we publish what we publish on the channel for posterity, not for popularity. We're here to bear witness, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, with as much honesty as possible, to bear witness, regardless of whether or not our testimony makes anyone comfortable or makes anyone uncomfortable. We're not doing it for comfort or discomfort. We're doing it to tell the truth. Middle Nation is a Muslim channel, and our three objectives, the three objectives of Middle Nation, are to promote the economic sovereignty, the political independence, and the psychological decolonization of the Muslims and of the global South more broadly. Yes, alhamdulillah, we have a significant audience in the West. We have a significant number of Westerners who follow the channel. But the West is not our primary audience. Even when I talk to or about Westerners in my content, the audience is still our own people. It's always our own people. I'll talk to Westerners about how they are, primarily so that our own people can understand how they are. And if any Westerners take that to heart, alhamdulillah. I don't bear you any ill will in the West. I bear you no ill will, as Allah is my witness. I wish no bad for you. I think that what has been done to you, to your collective psyche in the West, to your minds, what your so-called civilization has done to you, in fact, I think it's actually worse than anything that you ever did to us, including colonization, including the Crusades, including all the wars and the invasions and the literally hundreds of millions of deaths that you've caused. I think what you've done to your own people is worse, because what you have done to your own people has been to make them into that kind of people who can even commit such atrocities and feel nothing about it, and feel fine about it, even feel proud about it. That means no matter how many of our lives destroyed, there isn't a single life in any of your societies that you have not destroyed. You destroyed their minds, you destroyed their morals, you destroyed them spiritually. You destroyed them spiritually, you destroyed them mentally, you destroyed them intellectually, you destroyed them morally, and you destroyed their humanity. And you did that systematically, and you're still doing it systematically, relentlessly, and ruthlessly on an ongoing basis. Yes, I have pity for you. I have pity for you, and I don't have any hatred, and I don't have any rancor towards you whatsoever. But yes, also, unfortunately, I cannot say that I have respect for you. I mean, except for respect for you as a fellow human being, just on that basis. But even my respect for you as a fellow human being, well, that mostly manifests in the form of pity. In the form of pity. Because you were raised in a so-called civilization that has not, in fact, has not endowed you with any characteristics deserving of respect beyond that. And this comment that I'm responding to is a perfect example of that. That so-called civilization has made you oblivious. It has made you delusional. It has made you unserious. It has made you mentally and intellectually stunted, and has made you rigidly encased in a box of indoctrination that completely disconnects you from reality. With every passing day, it becomes more and more conspicuous to everyone else in the world, and fewer people are willing to play along and pretend that you make any sense whatsoever. And I'm sorry to tell you that, but you need to know. Yes, I have said it before. I am a Muslim supremacist, an Islamic supremacist. Absolutely, 100%, yes I am. And I know that you don't want me to be that. I know that you want to apply your understanding of what supremacism means and what that would imply, the word supremacism. But it's got nothing to do with your white supremacy or your Western supremacy or any other type of racial supremacy or what have you, or any of your conceptions of supremacy. No, it has to do with the supremacy of values and morals. It has to do with the supremacy of justice over injustice, the supremacy of tolerance over intolerance, decency over indecency, morality over immorality. It has to do with the supremacy of fairness over unfairness, and honesty over dishonesty, and the supremacy of truth over falsehood. It has to do with the supremacy of God over creation. It has to do with the superiority of those who submit to God over those who deny God and who oppose God. Of course, I know that if I remove that element from my content, you will like me a whole lot better. I'm obviously aware of that. I know if I do that, you'll share my content, you'll invite me on your programs, you'll quote me in my analysis, I'll get interviews and invitations and so forth. If I would only just remove that element from my content that has to do with prioritizing truth over falsehood. But you see, I can't do that because I do not subscribe to that atheistic secular paradigm that has ransacked the world for 400 years. That paradigm which sees any sort of value in being welcomed by the creation if it means being rejected by your creator. And the truth of the matter is that I can't even give you an honest analysis. I can't even give you an honest critique of the West if I don't tell you that it is exactly that paradigm that is at the core of your dysfunction.